influencers, or experts to tell them how to live because they've connected with their own inner compass. Jung wrote, "Your vision becomes clear when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." The awakened person is the most dangerous person in any society because they can't be sold a dream. They're already living their truth. Now here's where it gets really interesting. When someone achieves this level of psychological independence, the system responds in predictable ways. They label you as selfish, antisocial, or dangerous. They try to shame you back into dependency. Jung observed this pattern in his own life. When he broke away from Freud and developed his own theories, he was ostracized by the psychological establishment. When he refused to conform to academic expectations, they tried to discredit him. But because he had done the inner work, their attacks couldn't touch his core sense of self. This is what I call the immunity factor. When you've integrated all parts of your psyche, external criticism can't destabilize you because you've already faced and accepted your own darkness. You're not perfect, but you're complete. And completeness is far more powerful than perfection. Let me show you exactly how dangerous this is to our educational and institutional systems. The entire structure depends on what I call the expert dependency model. Every institution is designed to make you believe you need someone else's authority to understand truth. Can't understand psychology? You need a degree. Can't make decisions? You need a guru. Can't find meaning? You need a religious leader. The message is always the same. You are not qualified to think for yourself. But Jung's individuated person has achieved what I call inner authority. They've developed their own capacity for critical thinking and don't outsource their judgment to experts. Jung wrote, "Your vision becomes clear when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." They question everything, including Jung's own teachings. They understand that true wisdom comes from integrating external knowledge with inner knowing. They're not anti-intellectual, but they refuse to substitute someone else's thinking for their own psychological development. Jung himself warned against this kind of intellectual dependency. He said, "Thank God I am Jung and not a Jungian." The individuated person learns from teachers, but never becomes a follower. The threat extends beyond economics into politics. Political systems depend on what I call the savior complex, the belief that someone outside yourself can solve your problems. Vote for me and I'll fix the economy. Follow this ideology and you'll find meaning. Join this movement and you'll belong. But Jung's individuated person has done something radical. They've taken responsibility for their own psychological development. Jung warned, "The mass-minded man, as an extension of his own personality, sees his personal experience confirmed by politics. But the individuated person doesn't look to politics for personal validation. They understand that external change must follow internal change. They're not waiting for the perfect leader or system to save them because they've saved themselves through psychological work. And that makes them immune to the fear-based messaging that drives political engagement. Nowhere is this threat more visible than in our relationship with social media. These platforms are designed around what I call the validation addiction, the constant need for likes, comments, and shares to feel worthy. But Jung's individuated person has achieved something that breaks this entire model. They've developed what Jung called a personal relationship with the unconscious. They don't need external validation because they're connected to their own inner source of worth. Jung wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. But once you do this inner work, the opinions of strangers on the internet become irrelevant. You're not performing for an audience because you're not seeking their approval." This creates what I call the attention drought. When someone stops feeding the algorithm with their need for validation, they become invisible to the system. And a population of people who don't need likes and shares threatens the entire social media economy. But perhaps nowhere is this transformation more threatening than in relationships. Our entire dating and marriage culture is built on what I call the completion myth, the idea that you need another person to make you whole. Jung had a different vision. He wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But this transformation can only happen between two people who are already complete within themselves. The individuated person doesn't enter relationships from a place of need, but from a place of wholeness. They're not looking for someone to fix them, complete them, or save them from loneliness. They're looking for someone to share their completeness with. This creates what I call the conscious partnership, a relationship between two sovereign individuals rather than two needy halves trying to form a whole. And this kind of relationship can't be exploited by industries that profit from relationship dysfunction. Now, I need to address something crucial here, what I call the spiritual bypass. Many people hear about Jung's ideas and try to skip the hard work of integration. They want to be enlightened without facing their shadow. They want to be awakened without doing the psychological heavy lifting. Jung was clear about this trap. He said, "The most dangerous thing is to interfere with a natural process of development. You can't think your way to individuation. You can't meditate your way around your shadow. You have to do the work. This work involves what I call the dark night of the soul, a period where you confront everything about yourself that you've been avoiding."